But wait, there's more. Why am I saying that? Because we did an LG G6 review last month or so. When LG sent us a pre-release model, final hardware, not final software. Now, not a lot has changed. They said about 95% of it was already complete. So this is going to be a pretty quick final review of the shipping LG G6. We happen to have the Verizon model, so you can see that Verizon logo right here. It's available on all major carriers. The price ranges from $650 to $700. That's the full retail price. Payment plans range anywhere from $24 a month up. You can look at your carrier and figure that out. Of course, it's available in other countries too. If you import the Korean model of it, you get the 32-bit audio DAC. That's why some people are doing that and they don't want carrier bloatware. The US version of this has wireless charging, but no 32-bit audio DAC. So if you get the Korean version, you won't get wireless charging either. Are you confused already? Keep watching now. It's back, and this time it's the shipping final version of the LG G6, LG's flagship Android smartphone for 2017. So this is going to be their mainstream size, despite the fact that it has a 5.7-inch display. But what's cool about this still is the fact that it's almost no bezels on the side, and they did that not just because it looks really cool, but to make it narrower and make it easier for you to do things one-handed. And the top and bottom, you know how most phones have pretty big chins and foreheads up here? Not here. So the phone is actually not as ginormous as you might think. In fact, when we put it down next to the competition here on the table, all of these having smaller 5.5-inch displays, you'll see it's actually very compact. That 5.7-inch display is extra tall. Well, if you're holding it in this orientation, then it would be extra wide, but that's 2880 by 1440 instead of the usual 2560 by 1440. So like the LG V20, they had the room for a secondary display here, but they realized, you know what, people are not as excited about that as they had hoped. So instead, you have more main screen real estate here. So if you're doing something like application multitasking of two apps side by side or one on top of the other, you have a little bit more room. So that's a good use for the screen. Likewise, if you're watching something like Netflix, where some of their shows like House of Cards and Orange is the New Black are actually filmed in 2:1 aspect ratio, which this screen is, otherwise known as 18:9 aspect ratio, instead of the usual 16:9, then you're going to see it with no black bars. Conversely, if you're watching a standard 16:9 widescreen format like this YouTube video, you'll have black bars on the side. Almost hard to see them though, because the black levels are pretty good here and it blends into the black bezel on our black model phone. Shows fingerprints, beautiful glass, curved glass over here, really nice design, the glass and the metal over here. Classy, good feeling phone. It's also available in a kind of titanium silvery finish with some striations underneath. I don't know why they did that. It makes it look a little like faux metal, but we've got the fingerprint scanner on the back, which doubles as the power button. LG has been doing that for quite some time. And the dual cameras here. You have your normal wide, which is the standard smartphone lens, which tends to be towards the wide angle, 28 to 35 millimeters. So the standard one. And then you have the very wide angle lens. Both of them are 13 megapixel now. So that's good to see. And you got your two-tone flash right here. And then this dual camera setup is going to be one of the things that sets us apart and maybe the phone that you decide to buy. You get a headphone jack up top, you have USB-C on the bottom, and the single speaker, which gets reasonably loud for a single speaker. And this does support Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0 and comes with a quick charger, so it charges fast. Like Samsung, LG has been toning down their UI, so it's not so cartoony. It's pretty bearable looking here. This is the Verizon version of the phone, so all these junky apps like Panda Pop are on there thanks to Verizon Qi. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, the FM radio we had in the unlocked pre-review unit is not here on the Verizon version, but the T-Mobile version does have an FM radio for those of you who care. So I've gone and opted for the standard app drawer. You can actually have it be with all your apps on the home screen. That drives me crazy. I like the standard Android approach. We got notifications here. Standard stuff. We have access to, I like the double pull-down functionality. You can go from a partial set of your most used settings to more of them, and of course you can go to all settings, which has become less overbearing than it was on some previous versions of LG UI. Now they have a great deal of customization here. You can do things like customize the order of these buttons over here. You can turn knock on and off, that is double tap the screen to wake or not. You can have the sleep screen, which tells you information when, you know, notifications, the time, the date, that sort of thing when the phone is sleeping, black screen, little white display. And that makes up for the fact there is no front notification LED. Maybe. I'll leave it up to you to decide if that's enough for you. Now this is an IPS display, not an AMOLED. So if you like those nice, saturated AMOLED tones and very deep blacks like I have on the Google Pixel XL here, Well, it might not be the phone for you. That said, as IPS displays go, the viewing angles are pretty good. The shift is definitely improved over previous LG phones there, where it doesn't dim down too much and there's no color shifting whatsoever. Now, if you want to use Google Daydream VR, that's a no-go because refresh rates of IPS displays are not fast enough for that. So I don't think so far that that's a big selling point. The phone does support Dolby Vision for some color enhancement here, and this is the demo file it comes with that shows you the difference here. Of course, it probably is doctored a little bit to really make the point clear, but it is a little bit more vivid and a little bit more rich looking as well. The phone is also the first to support both HDR10 and the Dolby Vision that you're seeing demoed here. Not that there's a lot of content out right now for that, but well, looking to the future, we can hope that there will be more content available. The screen is around 550 nits. If you're running on auto brightness, it can get even brighter if you're using it outdoors. So brightness is good, but typical with LG is their auto brightness does default to be kind of low, but you can tweak it, which is also good. So the camera interface is pretty intuitive here. You can choose between a couple of different modes, your panorama, your food shot, your pop-out shot, which really just puts a kind of border on things. Different filter effects. You can go to full manual mode if you want and adjust just about everything. And you can do that for video as well as for photos. So you've got your EVs, your focus, your ISO, your shutter speed even. That's pretty good stuff there. Let's go back to auto mode. So it's the usual autofocus. You can tap to focus if you want. Now, look at the wide view of the camera. What a difference there, right? So you can see the appeal of that, and particularly more in outdoor shots or anything where you just want to capture more of the context. Now, image quality on this is pretty good. Low light mode is okay. It's not stunning, it's not fantastic, but it's pretty decent. And we'll throw up some sample images so you can see how it does. But overall, this is one of the nicer cameras on the market, and as a serious photographer, I'd be pretty pleased to carry it. It's not like I'm saying, oh my God, I want to use my Pixel right here or my iPhone to take pictures. And because this is Android 7 Nougat and with Google Assistant support, Google Assistant has this thing where it goes through the photos that you've taken and creates adorable little things like that if you're lucky. So we got the cat going, When we reviewed the unlocked pre-release version at the end of February 2017, we were pretty impressed with battery life. It seems that, LG had battery life a couple of years ago, and they've been getting better and better with each model. It has a 3,300 milliamp battery. That's a pretty ample capacity battery here. Of course, it has a pretty big screen, too, and a strong CPU inside. Supports fast charging, like I said. Now, with our pre-release versions, I had no trouble making through the day with light to moderate use on it. I don't mean using the GPS constantly or playing some game constantly either, but usual everyday things, snapping some photos, looking stuff up on the web, getting some quick directions, the usual stuff that we do, social networking. And that averaged about 5 to 5.5 hours of screen on time. Our Verizon version here is not quite so robust. I don't know if it's just the Verizon version, though, because that's the only release model that we have right now. Could have something to do that we don't have the strongest Verizon reception here, so the LTE radio will be struggling a bit, but doing more like 4 3/4 hours of actual screen on time. Still makes it through the day with light to moderate use, but it doesn't have a lot of extra juice to spare as it did with the unlocked model that we had previously. Now, the LG G6 is a beautiful phone, but it has some strong competition here. The Pixel, the iPhone 7 Plus, the OnePlus 3T right there. And, of course, we have the Galaxy S7 Edge here on the edge, and that's on the edge. Goodbye, goodbye, because soon, in just a couple of days, Samsung's going to have the Galaxy S8 announcement event on March 29th, so I bet a lot of you are going to wait and see what they announce there. Likely, it will be more expensive than the LG G6, which, again, in the U.S. is around $650 to $700, depending on which carrier you're going with. And probably the Galaxies are going to start around $750 or so. They've been pricing them similarly to iPhones, and the smaller one may be $650. We'll find out. But anyway, there's a lot of competition here, so that's a good thing that these are all so strong. The Pixel is still one of my favorite phones here, but it is bigger. It is bulkier. The OnePlus 3T, I like this phone a lot. Only a 1080p display, but you know what? On a screen that size, it's okay. It's a fast phone, but a lot of you like to buy your phone through carriers and get those payment plans, so this one may or may not be off the table. Depending on how you feel about iPhones and iOS, this one could be either possibility or hell no, I ain't never going to do that. Obviously, it may be a thinner phone, but it is a bigger footprint phone. So the LG really does have its own sort of little sweet spot here with a camera that can keep up with the competition pretty nicely. So that's the LG G6, and my goodness, has LG turned things around. No more kind of weird designs, no more maybe not so necessary features like that top separate display. A wider display, nobody's going to mind that one single display, that sort of thing. Of course, competition's fierce, even if you have a good-looking metal and glass phone with a big display. So what makes this one stand apart from the competition? Because it's sure better if it's going to win your dollars, right? I would say the fact that it is so compact, yet it has a 5.7-inch display. It's smaller than most 5.5 inches phones. So if you like the big screen, but you don't like the giant handful, plus the curves and such on it make it feel even more comfortable to hold, too. They've done a good job keeping the side bezels small. One-handed operation is actually doable if you have decently sized hands anyway. And the other thing, of course, is the dual cameras on the back with the wide angle camera being added on there. So for those of you who do a lot of panoramic sort of scenes, not panorama mode actually, but you want the big wide scene, you do interiors, you could be a realtor, for example. There's actually business reasons for this. There's a lot of reasons to like the wide camera. It has a very good wide angle camera on it. So 2 reasons why you might choose the LG G6. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this video.